us the privilege to introduce our esteemed speaker for today, Mr. TRAN, who works as the manager of the client service team at AlphaSights Tokyo. He is currently managing the biggest team and firm of AlphaSights Japan, which is the #1 firm in terms of growth rate in all of Asia. Please refer to him as Mr. K. He will be speaking on the topic of industry sharing knowledge on demand.
Ladies and gentlemen, please give a round of applause to Mr. K. We wish you the sincerest welcome. Mr. K, we kindly request you to start sharing your materials.
I think I need the host permission to share.
Han, could you please give him co-host status?
All right. We should speed up. Cool. Just 1 second, please. Right, are you guys seeing my screen?
Yes, we are. It's all clear.
Amazing. Let's kick it off, guys. Hello, everyone. My name is Kei. I'm currently the senior manager at AlphaSights Japan, and it's a pleasure to be here with you guys today, delivering this presentation, exploring what is the industry we are in, that is called information service industry, and what AlphaSights is looking for and what the opportunities we can present to you. So very exciting. And thank you again on the organizers for making this happen for AlphaSights, at the same time for ABU student and for everyone else. When I agreed to this, I didn't know that I'm going to walk into this kind of like formal presentation. I thought it would be just with like sharing my experience to all of you guys as a fellow senior graduated from ABU as well. But in any case, if we're going to go through this, let's do it properly. So a couple of ground rules before we kick off this presentation. Just bring your utmost attention and energy into this. I don't know how many people are presenting there, but if you do have any questions, please raise your hand. Feel free to disrupt me. I love that. And I'm kind of awkward. So if I have any question to ask, I would love to hear a response. Otherwise, I'm just going to stay silent. Yeah. And there's no right or wrong answer to your to my questions. Just bring up your creativity and critical mindset here, right? Cool. So let's dive right into this. The flow of this section will kick off with intro to the knowledge on demand services, the industry we are in right now, and then we're going to move to AlphaSights specifically to talk about why we started this business, where does this come from, and then the business model of AlphaSights, and then jump to the client service associate, the opportunities that presented to, I think, a lot of every graduate here in Japan, but at the same time globally, and wrap it up with Q&A section. And I'll particularly leave the majority of time for Q&A section, because I know what you guys get the most from this type of section would be questions and answer from my experience. All right, so intro to knowledge on demand service. This is like the truth, the fact that knowledge is dispersed, hidden, completely underused. Why is it the case? It's because the world right now is where it's so fast, you know. The data is at our fingertips. Technology allows us to search practically anything. But the sheer amount of information available makes it difficult to discern what's important and what's not. And also on top of that, the speed of new information being added onto the market and the industry are increasing so fast that it's impossible for every human, even organization, to capture them all. And this information, this knowledge sometimes sit in somebody's mind who sits in somewhere in the world and waiting for somebody who desperately need that to tap, but there's no possible way for that such person to tap that knowledge. If you're sitting in Asia and you're looking for information in Middle East, that's worked in the past, and that's why AlphaSight exists. We basically what we do is to bridge that knowledge gap between who need it and who has it. And we're not talking about like the price of an iPhone. We're not talking about whether if the group of ABU students want to go to, I don't know, like go to commercials like for sushi dishes, like how many of them want to go there? It's just like, you know, this market research of like on P2C level, mass market research. We are doing very targeted executives knowledge search. If a company looking to buy another company, who can tell if this decision is a good decision or not? There will be a group of CEO, a group of executive in the industry who can share their experience like build up of decades. So that is the knowledge that we are targeting. So the story goes back to 2008, where we have two guys, Max and Andrew, which is our co-founders, just graduated from Stanford a couple of years back, started their like startup, and then sold the startup to some investor, and then worked at these consulting firms. And they realized, okay, you know, there's a industry called knowledge industry that is untapped, unexplored, and with like a huge potential in the future, because with the increasing of time, there's just going to be more knowledge and information being added. There's not going to be less. And we need the facilitator here to be able to synthesize and put this into one place, or to bridge the knowledge gap between who need it again and who has it. So these two people established the market. And rather than relying on database, what AlphaSight did was to change the way the market works. Back then, there was only one player in the market, GLG. It was like top player. But now we came into place and we strategically partner with clients to recommend the most relevant industry professional with the tailored service. It's an end-to-end customer service, like customized service that we had, and it changed the whole market. And as of now, a lot of different players, new or whatever, replicate the way we work. But I'm gonna go into that later in terms of like the business model of AlphaSight. Go back to the story. Again, our mission, we are mission-driven, talent-driven, and the mission is to connect the world top professional with the world best knowledge, helping improve digital decisions, shopping thinking, and drive business forward. That's what knowledge would give you. Knowledge will shape the thinking and the decision of the business world. And what we do every day is to accelerate progress for individuals, organizations, and society, because that knowledge gap, if being filled in a timely manner, would help to drive the decision much faster. Now imagine, I'm going to give you some example of what typical cases that you're going to do here at AlphaSight. Let's take COVID, for example, right? For the past 2 years, the world have been living in like a very strange way. It turned upside down. Like what we experienced before COVID and after COVID is totally like different. So during the years of COVID, we have received like thousands of projects looking to understand what kind of impact COVID making on the industry. Like for example, on the tourism industry, especially, like what kind of impact COVID has on healthcare, on healthcare investment from the government, and then medical devices investment from the government. Or we did also facilitate hundreds of projects in regard to like COVID impact on society, how that would widening the gap between the poor and the rich in some of the countries. Yeah, that is just a few examples that I want to share with you guys, but there are many cases that we work on apart from COVID, day by day, from healthcare sectors to like the technology sector to like mass media, marketing, you name it. Some industry I haven't even come across yet before joining AlphaSight, but it exists somewhere in the world, and there are, you know, there are opportunities there to grow, and therefore our client is looking to it. So AlphaSight, with our global scale and global outreach that I just mentioned, we present in ourselves in multiple countries, London, Hong Kong, San Francisco, the US. We have 2 offices, SF and New York. We also have Dubai, Seoul, and Hamburg, and Tokyo being the youngest child in the family for now. This means that we are cautiously, expanding our scope, because being one of the fastest growing company in Europe is not an easy feat. And of course, we want to continue this momentum to grow bigger and bigger, to compete with many other vendors out there. That's, you name it, GLG and ThirstBridge, and of course AlphaSight being within the top 3. But again, there are hundreds of emergent companies just popping up every day, trying to exploit this potential of the market, like knowledge, information, and their emergence actually bring a lot of positive changes to the market right now, as everyone is trying to digitalizing the way we work. And that is also AlphaSight approach in the next 1 year. And in details, how we're going to digitalizing everything. Well, if you join us, I'm happy to let you know. But things are very exciting here. And the thing that we do here is not necessarily find the expert anymore, but we use technology to empower our people to identify that gap. Yeah, it is that simple, but it's easiest to said than done. Well, let's go into the business model, but I'm going to pause here for 30 seconds as both check if you guys have any question on this.
Yeah, I'd like to know, well, how is it that you guys go about for your clients to be able to filter down all the vast amount of information out there? You just said it, we have information at our fingertips. How is it that you refine it and give it to your clients?
Wow.
The information, the knowledge.
Right. If I understand you correctly, you're asking how within the pyramid of information overloading out there, how do we filter it out and make sure that we provide the client exactly what they need?
Exactly. Yeah. How is it packaged, their information that they are requesting, you are providing?
Okay, great. Yeah, such a good questions. And I think that is a question that the industry is asking themselves every day. AlphaSight is asking ourselves every day, how can we better service our client? How can we better provide them with exactly what they exactly need? And I guess that is really lead us to the next part of this presentation, which is our business model. How do we bring the information to the client? But just to simply answer your question, there is a rigorous process of briefing and qualification of the expert. Briefing here is that you need to understand what your client is looking for. Sometimes your client just come to you with a question or with a simple sentence. For example, I want to understand more about the impact of COVID on society in the US. So what you need to do is get on the phone with them and really ask intelligent question to break down, okay, what exactly that you need, what exactly that the knowledge gap you're trying to fill. And then by asking multiple questions of why and what and how, you eventually find out, okay, what they are looking to understand, not only the impact of COVID on maybe social insurance, how social insurance usage are be spiking up because of the COVID post symptoms, as an example, right? So riffing is the very important part. You need to know what they are looking for, and there's come another part of researching to identify who would be in a good fit to answer your client questions. And then you find a person, and then you get on the phone with the person by asking them again intelligent question to test their knowledge, to confirm if they really can answer the questions or if they are the one. So we train our people to do so, and our people doing so every day. And we always looking to innovate the way we work. So that is like a business model of AlphaSight, if being answered in a few sentences.
Thank you. It sounds like a lot of analysis and basically just being the middleman essentially and finding these two types of connections. Thank you.
Yeah, I'm glad that you already helped me to do my job explaining about the next part of the presentation here. So let's dive into it. Our company. Again, business model. The client gave us idea that need to be tested, the question to be answered. AlphaSight help our client to achieve by searching the right expert. Now the knowledge sharing though comes in many formats. It can be either on telephone, on Zoom call like this, one-on-one meeting face-to-face, by surveys, by transcript, by like panel discussion with like multiple people. It could be anything. We facilitate a lot of different means of capturing knowledge. And who are our clients? So you may ask, they are private equity fund, consulting firms, capital market client, and of course, Fortune 500 companies. And here I want to boast a little bit to really asking you guys, why are these clients looking for, like, working with AlphaSight? Why is it the case?
I would say for an advancement, right? An edge, because with the amount of information and knowledge, you end up having an edge in the industry.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, getting an edge over your competitors in the industry. What else, guys? Think about it, like why consulting firm, why these investment fund, the corporate, top Fortune 500 companies come to AlphaSight? What's for? Why is that the case?
Maybe to be able to get connected with lots of other people around the world a lot easier.
Of course, yeah, that's exactly what they come to us for. But why do they want to be connected?
If I had to make an educated guess, I would say they would want to be more connected to have more options, to be able to make better, more intelligent choices. Because it's a lot more versatile when you have more options, you know, because then you can look at what resources you have and then make kind of like the more optimal decision based on whatever amount of resources or stage you are in the business. I would have to guess.
Okay, yeah, that's a good guess. And I like all the ideas that you guys just share. And it's somewhat along the way of why, but to elaborate on that, let's look at some of the examples why our client come to us for, right? So to conduct due diligence. And you guys know what due diligence is, right? You're running case competition, so it must be familiar with you guys. Basically, if you're looking to buy a company, you need to run due diligence for that company to see if your decision gonna be benefiting you in the long term. If you want to buy a smartphone, you need to run due diligence on multiple like smartphone brands out there, and or they are looking to, and this is the case mostly, they want to assess market. They want to see what are the investment opportunities out there. Like you come to AlphaSight, talk to somebody in the gaming industry, and you ask them, okay, what is current trend at the moment? They do. The current trend is blockchains game. Where should I invest? Maybe here. This is my, based on the opinions of the expert in the industry. They can tell you really a lot of things that happening in the market, or you can gain access to the voice of your customers. let's say if you are a big e-commerce companies like Amazon in the US, or in Japan, we have Rakuten. You want to know, okay, oh, that probably not a good examples. I would say if you are a cloud service provider, then you want to see what are the voices from your customer, or what are the voice of customer of your competitors. You also reach out to AlphaSights for that. And this is a P2P, right? Like service to service, not like P2C of like you sell supermarket selling oranges to the client, to the customer. And lastly is competitive benchmarking. Compare yourself with others people, other competitors. So those are the typical reasons why one would reach out to AlphaSights for. And again, in the industry we work on a vast and diverse. It could be airplane, construction, healthcare, data center, technology, energy, like deforestation, gaming. Yeah, I don't know, you name it. But the point is we at the forefront of the trend. Our client, mostly for the most part of the project, looking at what is going on in the market right now and what will be happening in the futures. So we at the forefront. Very rarely do they look back. And when they do look back, they look for the key takeaways from whatever failure, whatever key success factors in the past cases. So if you work at AlphaSights, you know what's going on in the market. An examples of cases. So client, corporate company, again, question how COVID would impact hospital purchasing strategy as healthcare move our hospital setting to alternative type of care. So we connect our client with so maybe go back to the question a little bit here. So this is the case where we actually work on behalf of medical device manufacturer. Medical device, you guys know it, right? The equipment in healthcare sector. Now, in this case, the medical device manufacturer was exploring how they should set their product and sales strategy in the coming years with the impact of COVID. In this instance, our team of AlphaSights associates spoke with the medical device company, learned what knowledge gap was, and then went out to identify the expert in the space. Now, that is a business model I just mentioned. So we ended up connecting the client to a 50+ hospital C-suite executive around the world to discuss how COVID-19 and the rise of telehealth. Telehealth is doctor consulting patients via telephone or just internet-based health consultation. So telehealth, how COVID-19 and the rise of telehealth has impacted the purchasing of medical devices for the use in the hospitals. For example, if you have more doctors consulting with patients remotely, then you need more PC. You need to equip your doctors with more skills and services and equipment to be able to do so remotely. Ultimately, this conversation helped the medical device manufacturer decision around product and sales strategy for the next 2 years. One of the example. The other example that I might share with you guys is from another private equity firm that we work with. They were deciding whether or not to invest in a new mental health platform that recently entered the market. So we got our people, speak with the client, and decide knowledge gap again. And then we connected our client to 7 companies, the customers who use mental health solutions for their employees, such as like Headspace, TRAN, Audible. This might not be familiar with you, but in the healthcare sector, these are like very important software devices. And in this case, the expert was customer of these different mental health solution and were able to speak why they chose to purchase and implement this different solution at their firm over others. So ultimately, this conversation helped the PE firm decision to decide whether that they should invest in the target company. And they was also impressed by how, with the tool they chose, the platform itself. Yeah, and eventually they actually decided to roll out the tool the tool that they were, interviewing the customer on for their own workplace. The PE fund use the tool for their own workplace because they see how valuable that tool was to many companies. Yeah. So again, there are the couple of cases that we do and we typically facilitate from day to day. And though it was mainly about healthcare, I can guarantee you will be exposed with a lot of different sectors. And if I have to share something about Japan market, I'm seeing a lot of trends in energy, renewable energies now, semiconductors, and digitalization. Like a lot of Japanese company was playing catch up with trying to digitalize themselves after the COVID happened. Yeah, and also due diligence, PE activities also like firing up in the Japan market. Investment fund from overseas within the domestic market trying to buy other firms. So a lot of trends there that we're seeing, and therefore we are getting real busy here right now. We're always busy, but just after